Welcome to the gear slum. You want stop shop for all things that talk culture nonsense. I'm Aaron.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Cole.
We slum it hard so you don't have to. That was smooth.
Aaron, you have a really good puppet voice.
That was so smooth.
You have a really good puppet voice, Aaron.
Every time I do that voice that I just did, I feel slightly racist.
Against but you don't even know what race against.
Just against like jazz people.
That's what you're.
No,
I thought it was Muppet. I thought it was specifically Muppet.
Not that one, but this one.
Race of Muppets.
Oh, that was smooth.
Okay, that sounds.
Voice. This one feels racist.
Yeah.
This one don't feel so racist.
You know what's funny is like when you said
that's also my
jazz
this
people.
is my
Jazz people sounds like something an old person would say that when they're trying to not be racist.
Yeah, which is like way more racist than saying black
people. Exactly. You know, like 100 times. Like, are you saying something disparaging about jazz people?
So my students had this conversation the other day. We were talking about connotation and denotation, and these two dudes started talking about the word urban, and like the one dude said something urban, and the other dude's like, man, I hate that word, and he like went off on why he hates it. And I was like,
the word urban?
Yeah, the word urban.
Were both of these gentlemen prisoners?
Yes, they're both inmates. At a maximum.
What more could you tell us about these gentlemen?
They're both black too. They were both black, so it was interesting.
Oh, they're kind of jazz folks.
They're like, oh,
is it because they don't like Urban Meyer? Because I agree with that. Then
fans of jazz.
No, it's because like usually when people say urban, they really just mean black.
Right.
Oh, totally. Or like, there's plenty of, like thug or whatever. There's plenty of words that it's like, we all know what we're talking about.
Yeah, but thug is like explicitly negative, whereas urban is like more.
Yeah,
kind of,
it could be more benign. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not like a value judgment necessarily.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just really interesting to
code.
like be a part of it and not. Obviously, I'm like, I'm not going to tell them what to think because I'm like, this doesn't affect me at all. But it's interesting. I love that class.
I saw a tweet about the difference between connotation and denotation. I'm hoping I'm using those words right. And it was a teacher that said that the way that they teach their kids is the difference between manual labor and hand job.
Oh my gosh.
They have the same denotation, but very different connotation. Is that right?
Well,
I mean, it's more like it's more for humor. Like,
yeah,
it
is funny.
Didn't you say they teach their class with that?
Yeah, but it was like some freaking granola. It was like Aaron. He gets to just teach whatever the heck he wants, and
he walks in with his Misfits T-shirt and his blazer on.
Yeah.
They were telling me the other day about like how much their last English teacher swore to them. I was
That's
like,
funny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I haven't done that at all.
Swore to them?
Like in the class, like not like angrily at them, but like used profanity.
You think that was like out of fear?
Yeah.
No.
No, you're not talking about the prison.
Like, yeah, I am.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I wonder if you like, let's be honest, it's got to be intimidating at least to go into prison just because it's a context that you're so unfamiliar with. But I could see somebody swearing even more than they normally would just to try and sort of fit in, because I'm assuming that people in prison probably swear a lot.
Yeah,
they do.
But what's really funny is like if you're the nervous English teacher coming in first day and you're like, all right, listen up, mother. Like, and they're like, whoa, calm down, dude. Like,
this guy needs to calm down. Yeah,
man, this guy's like,
so like, profanity doesn't bother me at all, like in general, but I do not like when like people swear in professional situations. It like bothers me to no end. Like I had a manager that would like when I was working retail who would just like swear all the time, and it drove me crazy. I'm like, dude, don't talk to me like that.
Because
Like,
part of it,
Oh, you mean talk to you? Because
yeah,
that's
just like
different.
talk to like people, like other workers.
the big thing to me is like you choose your friends and you choose to
Exactly.
be around them,
Yeah, exactly.
but you don't choose your coworkers, and so like he doesn't know that you're okay with just tons of vulgarity or whatever.
And
see,
especially like if you're the boss, that's on you to like.
Oh, totally. It's like
But there's a difference between
power dynamic.
and I totally agree with you, but there's a difference between like when people swear at someone and when people swear like just kind of like, you know, they're just swearing. Does that make sense?
But for some
Yes,
people, there
but
is
I
a
don't think-
difference.
I don't think that really counts in that situation, in that context. Like, I don't think you can get off on that nuance if you're the boss in that context.
Wait a second, what are you talking about?
I know.
No, but like I think it's because it's not your call. Like you don't get to choose what aspect of swearing offends somebody else. You know
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing with any kind of harassment, I guess. That like, oh well, that seems normal to me, and it's like, well, that's irrelevant. Like, it's all about how the person interprets it or whatever.
So, I tend to be kind of a smartass in
Whoa.
particular
Phil.
situations.
Phil, that is not appropriate for this context.
Okay, smart A. I'm a smart A in some situations, and I'm
Yeah,
My,
you're smart. You get A's. That's how it works.
Yep. And at work, we were sort of it was like this meeting, and my school cares a whole bunch about like trying to teach virtue as like a thing that's what they care about. And somebody goes,
And hopefully that means more than just like dressing modestly.
yeah, exactly. So it actually came up as like, these are the things that we consider, virtuous. And one of the first things mentioned was not swearing.
Yeah.
And and then I just like started thinking about like how ridiculous it is that that's like top of the list in this person's mind.
Yeah.
Of like not saying certain words is like a measure of virtue. And so then there's like a pause. I waited for like a pause in the conversation. I said, wait a minute.
What the F are you talking about?
Are we not supposed to swear? Because the thing is this.
And you're mostly joking.
I couldn't make the joke the way it would have best served to make the joke, because these people, I don't think they could have handled it.
What do you mean by these people?
Mormons.
Okay.
Actually,
so far in this
jazz people.
Podcast, you've referred to Mormons as these people, and you've also said, yeah, I have a friend who's Mormon, and he said this.
Some of my best friends are Mormon.
You're basically racist against Mormons. Anyways, keep going.
Actually, Mormons, jazz people is pretty applicable to Mormons.
They love jazz.
Oh, because the Utah jazz.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It actually
nailed it.
The person I was thinking of specifically, she actually is not Mormon. She's like a very, very strict Catholic, and
which means she probably doesn't swear either.
Right. When I made the joke, she looked appalled, and I didn't even say anything bad. All I said was, "Wait, you mean we're not supposed to swear?" And then I smiled, like I'm joking, but she looked like appalled at the thought.
Yeah, that somebody might think it's okay to swear.
And I was like, "Oh gosh, this place, man."
Like, I think there's obviously something to be said, and I don't swear. I swear in text a lot, which I don't know that that's necessarily better. But it is kind of a childish view of virtue to not swear because it's like it's something that's easy for kids to understand, and that's like one of the things as a kid that you sort of probably wrestle with more is the language that you choose and everything.
Yeah, but behavior control has nothing to do with virtue. And I think that's like my biggest issue with it is that, like, you know what I mean? Like, well, your behavior should be like, and it kind of, it does point to where you are inwardly, but like if we're just talking about a list of things you don't do, that's not virtue.
Yeah, like
why it's so
virtue
ridiculous.
is what you're doing positively too.
Well,
But
that
also,
too, yes, of
but
course.
yeah, what you're saying is that like your words are in some way an indication of, you know, what's in your brain or whatever, but they're not entirely.
I really
like
wanted
they're-
to push back when she like looked appalled, but I was like, no, she's
Yeah, but you're like nah.
because like
Yeah.
it's not a hill I should die on, especially when it's like my job and stuff.
If you
But,
do
like-
die on it, though, I will make a podcast about it.
But like for real, like it like legit makes me mad. Like if like let's talk about what virtue is. Like if that's what this, you know, if that's what we're doing all the time, then okay, let's talk about it. And that is not one of the things.
Yeah, and it would be fine if, like, I think you can make some link between virtue and the language that you choose, but the problem comes in when people prioritize it so wrong.
Right.
Like, you know, if you think that not swearing is higher on the list than not, I don't know, like.
So you guys know Patton Oswalt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not personally.
I know him. Yeah.
So he has this bit
Great
about
guy.
like
Went to school with him.
he has this bit about how he's like super liberal and like supportive of all these different groups of people, but like he doesn't always use the right language, and like people will get mad at him about it. Like, and he's like,
Yeah.
he's like you would be happier with someone who's like actually against these people but uses the right words than someone who is helpful. Like their actions are positive, but they maybe use like quote unquote offensive or like old timey or insensitive language.
Totally.
It's like,
Wow. Yeah.
like
I
how
can't
is
remember
that?
if
But
it's
it's so true. Like that's the thing.
I've seen similar bits from other
About-
comedians, and it might have been from him, but yeah, it's like, well, the language has just changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super progressive in the 90s and everything, and I just
Yeah,
haven't
that may
kept
be
up
it.
with it. But my opinion towards people hasn't changed.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah. Ricky Gervais had a whole thing about transsexuals and like
yeah.
and he wasn't using the appropriate language. Now, for him, he was like intentionally not using the appropriate language to prove a point.
Yeah.
But it was the same argument of like, okay, I'm so for equality,
Yeah.
but you guys are pissed because I refuse to, like, because there's something about like using Caitlyn Jenner's saying Bruce Jenner when he was
Right.
referring to the Olympic gold medal winner, and they're like, "Oh,
that came up on Comedy Bang Bang too.
Oh, really?
Because he talked about when Bruce Jenner won the gold medal, and they were like, "Who? I don't know that person."
Yeah, you can't use that
It's
name.
like, well, Bruce Jenner did win the gold medal. Like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Right.
Caitlyn Jenner, I don't know. It's like
Caitlyn Jenner did not win the medal. Bruce Jenner won the medal.
Well,
and he was
And
competing
that's
against
technically
men. But that's the thing is like of all the things to split hairs on, if the
Yeah.
entire point of your whole conversation is that you like this person, like it's good and they should feel empowered and have equal rights and stuff, and that's the one thing that people get hung up on, like that's idiotic, you know.
Yeah.
Correct.
Or even like I'll see people argue about like, you know, like misusing the term transgender versus transsexual, and it's like,
Right.
okay, that might show like a mild level of ignorance, but wouldn't you prefer that ignorance to the ignorance of somebody who thinks you're going to hell because of that or something, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I was saying
Lot of-
something, I can't remember where this was. It was in some obviously it was in some Facebook group thing, and I said LGBTQ, and someone corrected me and added what's the newest one?
IA.
Yeah. And I was like, really? Like,
I've actually seen it just LGBTQ plus.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
LGBT infinity. Can you do that? And then it's like it counts for all of the
LGBT repeating.
Yeah, repeating. Yeah.
Just a line over it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to.
See,
I
that's
don't mean
the thing.
to
Is
laugh.
like
I mean,
that's what
I'm not
bothers.
laughing at them. I'm laughing at people who are obnoxious about labels when
Right.
When that's not the thing that matters, and it's like
the label doesn't exactly.
You're doing more harm than good.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the same time,
if somebody's
like
using ignorant language and they're also have an ignorant opinion,
Right.
then that's a problem. And there is value in learning the right language.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, if you know, once you know, and you continue to like willfully ignore that, then it's like now you're just being a jerk.
Yeah, that's disrespectful. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yes,
Like I like to tell people I
but
own a Fender Jazzmaster, and I keep getting corrected.
Because it's
It's a Squire, but no, it says Fender on there. It really does. So
Who are these people that are correcting you?
they're these
internet.
granola.
The bags.
What?
The bags.
They're these people that
Other
are the same.
bags.
They're the same kind of people that are like, "Hey, did you know I'm vegetarian?" Like, they just want to talk about being a vegetarian and
Or they're the same kind of people that are like
Hillary's
trem
emails.
arm.
Is it Mark Johnston?
It's not a
It's
tremolo
Mark
arm.
Johnson.
It's a vibrato
Mark
arm.
Johnson.
Mark
No, it's not. It's not Mark.
I just assume because you always say so much negative things about him. Like anything negative that you say, I
Yeah,
assume.
he
it's
sounds
about
terrible.
Mark.
I haven't heard anyone else say anything negative about him, but the way you talk about him sounds like a real jerk.
Yeah, dude.
What are you talking about?
Based on the way you talk about him, like
Never said a
you
negative
seem
thing
to
about
hate
Mark.
him.
Mark, I
Well.
love you. I don't know what these guys are talking about.
All right.
Sounds like a
Aaron
hateful
thinks-
bigot.
Aaron likes to at least once an episode try to piss me off.
I would never do that.
You say that as if you've never tried to piss him off. When literally on the last episode, you intentionally said that a pedal was multiple colors just to piss him off.
Yeah.
worked.
All that happens is
Now I'm confused which one of us you're talking about, Cole.
You.
Bill, you obviously.
Here's what I have. I have something fun planned for us.
Oh, fun.
First, we should mention our sponsors.
Do it then. Talk about it. Gun Street, Sinusoid, Gabriel Tenorio. There you go.
All of them sell
Making that Skrilla.
metal wires of various kinds
Yeah, they all sell ropes.
that we
They're all
love and
rope
enjoy.
wires. Sinusoid makes the best cables around. Gabrielle makes literally the best strings around. There was a post in another group about those strings, about strings, and I mentioned that, and then like the price always comes up
Gabrielle's
about Gabrielle strings.
strings are all around also.
Yeah,
They're
and
all
I
around.
always like.
No hex core, all around. Go on.
Can I? So dumb.
He went full aggressive. I love that.
Oh, can I?
Like you interrupt me all the time, and then when I,
I know.
interrupt you one time, it's like
I know. It's so
so
great.
indignant, so
No,
like
because I was letting you talk, and then you're like, "Go on." That pushed me over the edge.
That was perfect.
But I always push back against that because they last me so long that like it doesn't end
Also,
up being
like,
that big of a
I don't
deal.
like people spend
Yeah, I know. They're
so
not
much
like,
money. This used to come out. I know I've talked about this before, but with blue chip picks, I don't even know if they're still around, but they're
yeah, those are freaking expensive.
yeah, but it's like $20. Like, yes,
Oh, yeah.
percentage wise, it's way more expensive than a
They're more than that.
25-cent pick you can get.
Yeah.
but like it's still just $20. You know,
it's not like a ton of money.
Yeah, like you can take a flyer on something once and try it out. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like the difference between a $300 Squire Strat and a $3,000, custom shop or something, even if the percentage is the same.
I was thinking that they had like, some of their picks are like $75 though.
Are they really? Holy crap!
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot. Anything over like $20 or $30, that's when you start to get into like, okay, I really got to think about this.
Blue chips start at like $35. So that brand is expensive, but people say the same thing about like Gravity or V picks.
I haven't looked at those in a long time.
It's all relative, and it's the argument of, "Whoa, I could get them for cheaper," is really dumb because, like, and Cole, I know this doesn't apply to you, but to all the Jatipwa people, you can say, "Oh, really? So, what do you spend on coffee?" And the second, whatever they say, I could find cheaper coffee than what you freaking spend. So, what is the argument for,
But also, like, they have a board full of freaking JHS pedals, and it's like those are all just clones of Boss pedals or other cheap pedals, like, and those are like literal exact, like you cannot tell a difference,
right? But no one, but like, so like with coffee, it's like, you're saying that because there is a less expensive option, then you should use the less expensive option. Nobody ever believed that with any other
quality or anything,
So it's like, I mean, and you can say, I don't want to spend that much on strings. You can say that. That's fine. But you can't say, oh, I can get cheaper strings.
Yeah. Because
the
thing they always say is like,
any other category of your life.
Which is false.
And also, like, the strings and picks specifically have such a huge effect on your sound.
Oh yeah.
And it's crazy that people will argue about like tone wood making a difference, or like, I'm going to put a brass nut on my guitar, which actually a brass nut will have some effect on your sound, but then strings, really, like the thing that's actually vibrating, like that's like, you don't think that's worth investigating other options?
Also,
or picks? Like,
you have a lot of these guys have like $2,000 or $3,000 guitars, and you're putting like the cheapest possible strings on it that you can find, like
strings.
It's like you're freaking driving a Corvette and then you water down your gas or something just to save money,
Yeah, it's dumb, is what we're saying.
Analogy. But like Phil said, it's totally valid to say like, I don't want to spend that much on the strings. That's fine. But to say that like,
I can buy
strings are strings and there's cheaper ones available, why would I pay more?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Picks are different though. And the only reason I say picks are different is because I lose them all the time.
That's, like, you're going to lose cheap picks or expensive picks. So, but I mean, I see what you're saying. Like, you're less willing to spend money, even though it's better, because you're going to
lose it. Yeah, totally.
It's like, that's why I stopped buying sunglasses.
Yeah.
Because I freaking lose them or smash them.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you could say, well, why don't you take care of them? Okay.
But at the same time, so I'm the same way, except now I have prescription sunglasses, and I've had the same pair for like 4 years.
Yeah, like there's something to be said for
expensive picks. I don't lose as often either.
Because you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why, like, that's totally valid to say, I'm going to lose them, so I'll just buy the cheap ones. But, like, don't call somebody an idiot because they buy a $10 or $20 pick,
Yeah.
I would call somebody an idiot if they bought a $20 pick and they lose it all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Then I would call you an idiot.
Forever buying $20.
And honestly, even like in the grand scheme of things, like if you have some $3,000 guitar, buying a $75 blue chip pick maybe makes sense, but that still seems insane to me. Like the materials on those things are crazy expensive, and then they're really hard to machine as well. But still, like that is a ton of money.
What are they made from?
They're made from this weird. It's this material that's like naturally sticky and like they're meant to mimic really closely like actual tortoise shell. And apparently they do a really good job of it, but the stuff that it's made from is really expensive. But because I listened to a podcast way back in the day with the guy who runs the company, and he was talking about how it all started and everything. But back then they were like in the 20s. So it sounds like they've.
Is it
gotten more
lame of
expensive.
me to never buy a blue chip pick, but want a hat that says blue chip on it?
Yes.
Or blue chips? If you want a hat that says blue chips on it, that'd be cool.
That movie with Nick
is it
Nolte.
because you really like
Shaq?
Shaq? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
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 So here's what I want you to do. I want to think about unpopular opinion time. What are some unpopular opinions that you have? We'll like circle around music or the gear world, but you can say whatever you want.
Okay.
I feel like our core audience will enjoy this.
But our outer
Well, and a lot of these
outer
are
mantle.
a lot of these are
Audience
probably shared opinions by our core audience too.
Perhaps, yeah, perhaps.
Because like the idea that tone wood largely has no effect on the sound of your guitar, that's unpopular to some people, but it's also a pretty widely held opinion.
So our core audience. But what about our crust audience?
What about our mantle audience?
Our mantle audience.
Did you just Google layers of the?
I did.
I could tell you're digging deep for that one. No pun intended.
That's good. That's really good. I'll
Very
start.
Good. I already started.
What did you say?
The tone wood. No, but go ahead.
We already started. You counted and you said, "Welcome to the Gear Slum." That was like
Remember that super racist voice you used?
that jazz voice.
That
That was
Muppet voice.
25
I like
minutes ago.
I like the idea of somebody who's racist against Muppets, and they're like, "Yeah, they all look the same to me." It's like, what are you talking about? That one has a nose that looks like a banana. Like, you think that guy looks like a frog?
They're literally different primary colors. So,
Yeah, like one's blue and one's green. Like you can't.
Well,
Anyways,
we can all admit that all the blue ones look the same.
maybe.
yeah. I mean, Grover. Nobody can tell Grover and Gonzo apart, even though they're completely different. But like, I guess Gonzo has the long nose. Probably.
Gonzo's the one that eats the cookies all the time, right? Wait, I'm not even on the right street.
You're on the wrong street of history with that opinion.
I'm on the wrong side of Sesame Street.
Okay, what's your unpopular opinion, Aaron?
Well, I gotta think about one now because you guys messed me up with your
This is
No,
your
what was
idea.
it?
being mean to me.
Didn't you already have one in mind?
Yeah, but I lost it.
Oh, you forgot it? Sorry.
Wow.
We're just riffing, man. That's what we do.
Here's not an unpopular opinion. I don't want to get a Kemper ever. And it's not because they're digital and I don't think they
No.
sound good. It's because it doesn't seem like a smart investment to me. It seems because it's like, dude, it's basically, it's not going to be anything in like a few years.
Are you sure?
I mean,
It is-
I'm not saying it won't exist. I'm not saying Kemper won't exist. I'm saying the Kemper that you buy now in like 5 or 10 years
Yeah.
is
It
going to
will
be
no
like
longer be
super
supported.
outdated.
Yeah. Which is like, that is something to say. And like digital components are not meant to last a long time, like for the most part, because like computers just don't, like nobody keeps a computer for 10 years. So, you know, that is going to fail much sooner than a tube amp or some, you know, solid state amp or something.
Like honestly, I would rather get like a super fast computer with like super low latency interface and use that, because at least you can use the computer for other things.
Yeah, we know what you're talking about.
And just buy some software.
Cartoon horses.
And just carry a
Yeah.
laptop with you everywhere you go.
Like part of it, like I kind of poo-poo the idea of option paralysis in some ways, because I think it's just an excuse to hate on, you know, modern technology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there really is, like, that's kind of how I was with the MS3. And part of it is because the default sounds out of the box aren't as great, but the Mobius has a lot of options too, but I can just turn the knob to one of the phaser settings and it's going to sound like a really cool phaser. and it's nice to not have to worry about that. And I guess if you're in a setting like the appeal of a Kemper is that you can model all these amps, but I don't really have a desire to do that. Like I pretty much play through one amp all the time, and I never feel like it holds me back, you know?
Yeah, I feel like if I say this all the time, but if I like had a studio and I needed that, I think it would be cool to have. But
yeah, or if you're like in a cover band or you know, like in a Jatico band, and you're trying to mimic exact sounds or whatever. But like when I'm playing, like the times that I've had a Vox amp, I end up trying to dial them in so they kind of sound like my Fender amps, you know, like if I chose a different model in the Kemper, I'd probably end up just choosing pedals to offset it. So it went back to sounding like what I want it to sound like, you know. It's dumb. And that's more, and I'll be the first to admit that's more a function of my own, you know, stupidity or whatever. But
yeah, true.
Yeah. I agree with you though. I like the idea of a Helix or a Kemper or something, but it's nice to just have individual pedals you can mess around with.
I think I might buy the Helix effect still. I like that.
But that's a pedal in your chain, and then you know in 5 years it's not your entire rig, and you have all your songs, you know.
Yeah.
And then, like that's like my old boss. He had an Axe Effects, and he still hasn't sold it. He ended up getting a Helix, but he was always afraid to install any software updates on it because he had all of his songs programmed in. He didn't want to take a chance of losing them. Which is like a valid thing because like he spent you know hours
programming
it exactly
the way he wants. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's ways you can back it up, and like I'm sure that like his concern is largely irrational, but it's still a concern. That's, you know,
it's a concern nonetheless.
It's understandable to be concerned about, and it just you know highlights the fact that if you're entirely locked into this one ecosystem that's based on software and that's based, you know, especially Kemper. Like Line 6 isn't going anywhere anytime soon, but you know, if Kemper went out of business, like it's not going to break what you already have, but it means you're not getting any more software updates. And then, you know, as more time goes on, it just becomes more and more obsolete.
That is true. It's like Apple. Like that's why no one buys MacBooks. We just write on paper.
Are you trying to make fun of him and his argument?
Of Mac?
Of Macklemore.
No, I'm just joking. I'm just saying there's obviously holes in every argument. I'm sure.
Yeah, but sure if you're using if we're talking about the health of a company, like Apple literally has more money than any other company on the planet. Absolutely. Obviously. Yeah. You know.
But I mean, for sure, like so Line 6 is definitely a better bet than Kemper in that regard.
And again, like just because they go out of business, like what you have is still going to keep working. Like people have Spider amps or like pods that are like DL4s that are 20 years old and they still work, and that's fine. But if something does happen to it and you've got everything, you know, your whole life is programmed in there, you know.
Well, the thing is, like everyone says they sound really close, but everything always sounds or looks or feels good until there's like a newer version that you have something to compare it to. And then they're like, oh, well, this is way more realistic than the old Kemper or whatever. Like, it's like if you watch like CGI from like 20, 30 years ago, like back then, everyone's like, whoa. And now you're like, this looks like trash.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I remember the first time I played GoldenEye. And I remember thinking, this is amazing.
You're like, that looks like an actual person.
Just recently, somebody posted like, GoldenEye is this, you know, the video game GoldenEye is like this many years old
or something.
And they showed like there was like a video of like the gameplay, and I was like, "Holy crap, that looks so
hot garbage."
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but it's all I totally see the appeal of it, and I think it's great for a lot of people. But those are a lot of the same reasons that keep me from buying one.
Buy low, sell high.
Yeah.
Buy low, sell high.
That's what we're saying.
Buy low.
But where else is it?
Sell high. Stupid.
Okay, here's an unpopular opinion. We're such idiots. Guys, we got up at 4 a.m. to do this. Our lives. We make bad life decisions.
No.
I like
Do
playing
it
bass.
for the fans.
I like playing bass more than guitar, usually. Is that an unpopular opinion?
It's not an opinion. That's a statement of fact.
Playing bass is more fun than playing guitar.
Oh, okay.
Nah, I don't even know if that's... I think part of it is because I think I'm better at it, or I at least feel like I have some natural skill on bass, and I don't feel that way with guitar very much.
I think playing bass is really fun depending on the genre. Like if it's slow music, or like I would rather play guitar probably.
Yeah, that's true.
But if it's like fun and it's like the bass is doing something, then I'm into it.
Yeah.
You mean like a Blink 182 cover band?
Yeah,
Heck yeah,
or
dude.
even just like Blink 182. Real band.
Actual
They
band.
like they ask you like, "Hey, we want you to play bass in our band."
Yeah,
do that. Maybe that's
so
an
it's-
unpopular
it's-
opinion.
it's
If
me.
Blink 182 asked me to play bass in their band, I would say yes.
Yeah, it's me, Matt, and a new drummer.
Travis.
No,
No, not even. Yeah. So it's Matt Skiba, Aaron Abubo, and like Max Weinberg.
Who's the original drummer? Yeah, Max Weinberg. Me, Matt, and Max. That's the name of the band or the album.
Matt and Max.
Blink 182's new album, Me, Matt, and Max. Stupid.
I would
Guys,
I
we're
would
idiots.
totally see that band. Aaron, can I come to your show? Can I see your band?
We're going to a punk
Yeah.
rock show.
Dude, you're invited.
Sweet.
You're invited. I'll send you the link to buy tickets.
Okay. Is it like a pre-sale deal? Like, is it cheaper if I buy up front, or can I get the same price at the door?
It's more expensive no matter what.
Phil, whenever you choose to buy tickets, that's the most expensive time to buy them.
More expensive option.
You have an unpopular opinion?
No. I mean, yeah.
Let's hear it.
Anything.
Anything.
Yeah, okay. I think Battlestar Galactica is one of the greatest shows.
That's a pretty popular opinion.
Mm,
I don't think so.
not
Maybe among
not in
nerds.
these circles.
Which
Freaking
circle?
nerds.
Excuse you. These circles.
I think sometimes I enjoy pedal boarding more than playing guitar, and by that I mean and I think we've actually talked about this before, but I think it's like sort of the Legos element of it. Like I loved Legos when I was a kid, and now I've got these stupid expensive Legos
Yeah.
that I reorder and resituate.
Yeah.
I think
But also, it's like when you were a kid, a $50 Lego set was like, I could never afford something like that. Like, that's insane. But now it's like, I could probably spend $50 on a Lego set.
Yeah, but like I know for me, actually,
You have a
now that I'm
freaking
thinking about
swimming
this is funny.
Backyard. You can afford a $50 Lego set.
No, I can't because I have a pool.
This is a very
All my
valid
damn
point.
money on a pool. Actually, this is funny. Now that I'm thinking about it, like building Lego things, like then it's like you build it and then you're supposed to play with it, right? Like, oh, I have achieved building the spaceship.
No, the building is the only fun part.
But that's the thing. It's like I'd build it and then I'd be
is
like,
the play, I think, with Legos.
for
It
some
is
people,
for me, I think, because I have no imagination.
I feel like that's supposed to be like the fun, like the play.
right?
No,
but there's
because my kids, they build it once and then they play with them forever.
yeah, right.
Wait, what?
Or they like build them. Like I'll be more specific. For me, building it according to the instructions is the fun part. And then the fun is over. For them, they build them and take them apart and build them in different ways and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So it's okay. Like I've got 2 different Lego sets. I build them according to the instructions, and then immediately
Put them on the shelf.
Take them apart and think, okay, how can I take elements of these 2 things and build them into one cooler thing?
No, for me, it's
2 cooler things.
And then throw it as hard as you can into like a container so that it all just falls apart, and then you start playing with the pieces.
Because for me, it's like you build it and then they will come.
The destruction is also part of the play for me.
Okay. Do you do that with your guitar pedals too? You build the perfect pedal board and then you throw it as hard as you can into a container?
I mean, metaphorically.
Heck, he just talked about selling all of his pedals for no reason. So that is kind of fits
metaphorically. I think so. Here's what I want to say that's related to what you said. I feel like the hobby is like 3 different parts. So one is like the actual playing, obviously, but that a lot of times that
not interested
secondary, because that's like the part that takes work and it's more fun with other people for a lot of times playing. Like
and we're all lonely SOBs.
And it's the part that takes talent. And
well, that's true. There's a higher ceiling or a lower ceiling, I guess, for us. Yeah, it's like a glass ceiling. Oh, dude, that's such a good metaphor.
Yeah,
it's like for us, the ceiling's made of glass, so we can see the people above us still succeeding.
And there's people, there's people holding us down.
No, it's like plexiglass because we can't break through it, but we can still see the people that are better than us,
and they're standing on it. We see the bottoms of their feet.
Yeah, exactly.
And like their crotches in like kind of blurry, because it's not because of all the scuff marks from the shoes.
Oh, you're saying because it's like in Japan?
Yeah, Japanwa. So there's the playing, and then there's the like acquiring, which is also fun. And then
the planning.
Yeah, like the hunt and
the hunt is part of it too, for sure.
But that, and I don't
think like I go different parts become more fun at different times.
Yes, agreed.
And but this whole idea,
go on, Cole.
Oh, sorry. Did I interrupt you?
No, go on. No, we just kept interrupting you.
Oh.
And then I wanted to make a joke.
Cole, go on.
Go on.
So, I don't know what I was going to say.
Dude, just go on.
The whole idea that one aspect of that is inherently superior to the others is what bothers me. That people are like, oh, I'll just make music. And it's like, really? You couldn't have made music on a guitar that didn't cost $3,000? Like, and it's like, well, I don't need all these cool things to make music. And it's like if somebody's hobby is like classic cars.
Yeah.
Like nobody says, why do you waste all that time like tinkering with it in your garage? The only thing that matters is driving it.
Why did you paint it to look so
cool?
like
why do you care what it looks like? And
I just drive my cars. Yeah.
And it's like one isn't inherently like I admire people who play guitar amazingly well more than I admire people who buy guitar pedals amazingly well. But it doesn't mean that one is inherently more fun or more, admirable than another.
Yeah, or more like valuable even.
Because it's all a hobby. Like until you're making money on any of those things, then it doesn't matter. Like if you have fun doing one thing, like I used to really enjoy flipping gear, and part of it is because I didn't really like my job, and so it was a distraction. But like, and that's part of why I don't flip very much gear anymore, is that I actually like my job now. Like, and people are like, well, why do you like spend time buying and selling gear? Why don't you just play guitars? And it's like, I don't know, I have more fun doing this.
or here's another example. I own a microphone that I'm talking into right now, and some people would say, why don't you record music with your microphone?
Yeah, and you're like, I'd rather record myself being an idiot at 4:00 in the morning on a Saturday than record music.
I do the percentage of recording a podcast with this microphone to recording music with this microphone is very, very sad.
Very, very sad.
It is. It's sad.
It is sad. It makes
because
me sad.
most people would say microphones should be used for.
It doesn't make me sad because you don't record enough music. It makes me sad because you use it too much for a podcast.
Yeah, right. And music is inherently cooler.
Was that as mean as I interpreted it to be?
Yeah, it was meant to be very mean. I think Phil has rightly learned to ignore me when I'm being a jerk.
Well, yeah, but you could say the same for you. So that's why it's not. I mean, it's mean, but it's like mean to all of us.
Yeah, like we're all in this together.
I assumed that he meant like he just wants you specifically to talk less.
Oh,
yeah, that is kind of what I was saying.
Oh, well, my microphone is. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because you're using it.
We're not using your microphone to record.
I know, Aaron.
I know you know.
We're all, in some ways, we're all using the same microphone.
Deep. When you think about it, there's really only one microphone, and we all share it.
This podcast
smells
is
terrible.
So here's an opinion.
This podcast is for an audience of one microphone.
Here's an opinion that I don't.
One mic.
I don't know that this will necessarily be unpopular, but it's something I've thought about a lot. I think.
Boo.
I think white people are superior. No, I thought about this a lot, guys. I think the nut on your guitar is maybe one of the most important pieces in how well a guitar plays and feels and sounds, and yet it's rarely a priority when taking a cheap guitar and upgrading it. Like the main difference, in my opinion, one of the main differences, even more so than like fret filing and stuff like that, in a cheap guitar, is that the nut was just done with a CNC machine and it's not done well. So your intonation is bad. It feels bad.
So can you tell me like what's usually wrong with the nut?
For one thing, the nut slots are usually cut too high.
Okay.
Or if they're too narrow, the strings will bind or whatever. Or I mean, you can just put like some graphite in it or whatever. But or like the angle on the nut, like if your nut is cut completely flat, it will feel different than if it has like a break angle down to the headstock, you know?
Oh, yeah.
This is interesting that you're saying this, because I honestly, when you first said it, I thought you were talking about the material, and you have not even said anything about the material.
Oh,
everything is
no,
about
I don't.
The shape.
I mean, I think the material can make a difference. I don't think a bone nut. I think something like a bone nut is probably superior to plastic just because of the way that you can file it. Or plastic probably, or that it like holds its shape better or something. I don't think it affects the sound really that much, but there's probably it's probably easier to obtain a quality nut job, #nut job, with a bone nut maybe than just with like some ghetto plastic one or something. But no, I think the way that it's actually done, and that's actually one of the biggest issues with Gibsons, in my opinion. As soon as they started plecking all the Gibsons, they use the pleck machine to do the nut as well, and so the nuts are always cut just completely flat, basically. And like a lot of people, and this part isn't like a unique opinion to me, a lot of people say that that's one of the biggest things you need to change when you buy Gibson, is just rip the nut out and put in a brand new nut and have.
Well, that makes sense, especially with like how severe the break angle is at the nut, like compared to a Fender or something.
But also, a lot of people like that's why some people actually preferred the zero nut, the brass
zero
fret guy that they had,
brand new actually on a lot of the 2019 models. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true. And there's a lot of reasons they went to doing that, but I think that is one reason, is that you basically all you have to do is cut slots. It doesn't matter. The depth doesn't matter. or anything really.
Mm.
Like, it just matters that you have a slot, and then the fret just takes care of all of it. So that's my little rant. People buy a cheap Squire or something and upgrade the pickups and the wiring and the bridge or whatever else, and they won't even touch the nut, which is insane to me.
Just touch the nut.
That's all I ask.
Nothing wrong with it. It's natural. Like, I don't have a ton of like guitar building tools, especially when you get into like the special, like those big old filing boards that let you fire.
Is that what it's
the
called?
entire.
A rasp? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's like a thick file. But if you have, like those things they sell on StewMac that are like these aluminum things that are shaped to the radius of a fretboard, and you can file all the nuts at all the frets at once and all that. But I actually have like some nice nut files, and I'll sort of refile the nut on most of my guitars.
Do you name it? Is that what it's named, or does it have like a secret name?
My nut file?
Yeah.
No, it's like a
church file.
It's called Church Talks.
It's called taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Taxes old.
Nice.
Taxes old.
Nice. Yeah, taxes old. No, it's just like it's called audiobooks. So I know no one will miss that. Oh, jeez. So there's my unpopular.
I like that. That's
opinion.
actually educational for me. So I'm thinking about doing some things to my Jazzmaster.
Oh, I'm up there
soon.
I'll be right
And
back.
one of the things I want is new pickups, maybe. And one of the things I want is maybe a mastery bridge. And one of the things I'm going to do now is replace the nut or fix the nut or something.
Now you're going to do that?
Now that Cole mentioned it, I feel like I have to at least give it a shot.
Okay.
Sorry, I was reading about it. You can't stop to read things when there's only two people. It doesn't
No,
work
you
as well.
can't. We have to talk about it.
We
No.
got to talk about it and talk about it. Man, I know it's like not funny, but I wanted to laugh so many times talking about nuts.
I know.
So hard not to.
It is. It's. He just kept saying it in funny ways.
I know. You got your nut cut straight, or how do you cut your nut?
Yeah. And there's
So-
like your nut on your guitar is very important.
Yeah.
And the way you put the nut on your
And
guitar.
the angle of the nut. Do you have a flat nut, or is it how you trim your nuts?
Sometimes the way you file your nut
Yeah.
is like might ruin your guitar. But if you file your nut just right, then you can make a crappy guitar better.
Hey, why don't you tell the story about that neck that you sold?
Okay.
Speaking of nuts.
Speaking of freaking nuts.
We should also say this episode is also sponsored by Gun Street Wiring Shop.
Yes.
And if you're a member of our street crew, you can get a discount on some wiring harnesses. I know a lot of guys have, and possibly gals. I don't know if any gals have. But people have taken advantage of that, and they've really expanded their range recently. So go for it. All right. Sorry.
So
That felt really bad making that ad.
Why?
Even though I do love Gun Street, it just felt really ad-like.
Addy.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Felt
You
really
guys,
ad-y.
I was gone for like 2 minutes, and you're already freaking selling out.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
You're the only thing holding us back from selling out.
I know.
The second you're gone, it's like we just jump right into it. It's like, okay,
Oh, man.
how
You
much
said it.
freaking ad spots can we sell now that Cole's gone?
We were just talking about the new Gear Supply Company subscription service that's now coming out again.
Oh, nice.
Oh, word?
Oh, word.
What? Yeah, what do we know about it?
As far as I know, it's basically the same as before, except like there's more options. So
More options? Like can I have a strap subscription?
more options, but also less options. So they've
Oh.
cut out some of the fluff, if you will.
Some of the middlemen have
Yeah.
been cut out.
It's pretty much only hats. pedal at this point. It's a pedal subscription.
It's a hat subscription.
It's a hat subscription, and you get a free pedal with every 5th hat.
Oh, okay. I'm on board. I love a good 5 hats.
Check it out, gearsupply.gov.
Okay, so cool.
No, gearsupply.co.uk. He's trying to avoid yeah.
Oh, I thought you were saying co.
No,
Flood the country.
Cole.
Co.Schneider.
You're joining. You're just joining us. Aaron wanted me to talk about the neck that I sold.
Oh yeah, talk about it.
So here's what happened.
About next.
Let's talk about necks. Let's talk about necks.
Little baby.
So here's what happened. For those of you just tuning in,
tuning in at the very
weird.
end of this podcast.
Yeah.
No, I mean to this episode. Like
if you're just tuning in, this is the Gear Slum. You're listening to the Gear Slum here on Gear Slum Network.
Something.
I'm here with Phil, and he's about to tell us about a neck.
So
Phil,
a month
tell us
ago,
about that neck.
Ish, I went to an estate sale and purchased.
Which estate were you in? Oh, California, right?
The estate of California.
Okay.
So so I bought, among other things, I bought a bird's eye maple Telecaster neck.
Was it frozen? It's in the frozen foods aisle.
Nope. And so
You'd appreciate it if you wouldn't ask anymore.
Cole,
Get it? Because bird's eye makes a lot of frozen vegetables.
I didn't get that at all.
Sorry. It's like
Cole,
a popular
Cole told me
frozen
I could,
vegetable company.
I could flip it for a reasonable profit. And so I...
Oh, did we ever talk about this? We talked about this, the buying and the selling of it, but what happened after?
Yeah, we did.
I thought that's what we were talking about.
You're just giving us a little.
You're doing a recap.
Context.
Yes, I just said for those of us just tuning in.
Hey, whoa! You gotta say previously on the Gear Slum.
So
we have to go back.
So I posted it on my Reverb store, thinking, maybe I'll get some bites. Maybe
you were hoping. You said you would be lucky to get $75.
That was what Cole said. And then boom, somebody.
By the way, I went
price.
back and looked at that. I was talking without shipping.
Right.
So how much did you sell it for? 75 plus 25?
Yes.
80.
Oh, that's good.
So
you
I
got
made
100 total.
Yeah. Well, I made like 80 because the shipping turned out to be, because of the ridiculous box I made. The shipping ended up being like $17.
I wonder what's in this box.
So the guy bought it without any, questions. Then I said, thanks for the buy. Post office
your asking price.
Huh?
No cues.
For your full asking price, just
full asking price. Yes. You should expect it by Wednesday. So then on Wednesday, he says, "Hi Phil, got a problem. The nut came off."
You're like that. You need to go see a doctor. That's not my problem.
When I went to glue it back on, when I went to glue it back in, I noticed
I realized
there was no slot! Exclamation point. I went back and looked at the pics, and the only pic that shows is at the bottom of the screen and blends in the margin. How do you want to handle this, Bob?
He called you Bob?
Yeah.
First of all, my name is Phil.
So then I said, yeah, I didn't think to include that because
it's super freaking normal.
Yeah, because half of my guitars don't have a slot. They're just glued to the neck / fretboard. And I said, that I've had this happen before, and string tension plus a little bit of glue is, does the trick. So then
a lot of people say like guitar builders or like guitar tech type people don't even like putting glue on it because then it makes it harder to get out if you need to.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Like a lot of people just let it be like pressure fit in there
Yeah,
and not
okay.
worry about it, or just like put one tiny little dot or something.
So then he says,
Again, going back to the Gibson discussion, apparently Gibson uses a ton of glue to put their nuts in, and like you'll, yeah, that's like opposite. You want less friction, not more friction.
well, I don't want any glue in my nuts.
Yeah,
No, you put your nuts in the glue.
Oh, I don't want any. I don't want my nuts in any glue.
like dip them in ink, and so like it. Going back to my previous conversation about like getting a new Gibson and just ripping the nut out and putting a new one in.
See, Phil, I told you he was going to make it all about himself.
That's what you were actually talking about when I was gone.
No.
Apparently, it's just like a total nightmare to get them out when there's a bunch of glue on them. Anyways, back to you where you're saying, Phil.
Go on.
Just talk already, Phil.
Oh, so I told him that, here's half my guitars don't have a slot. They just, it's the tension and glue. And then I said, I'd totally be fine giving you a full refund. But not for the shipping. So you would have to ship it back to me. And the cost was, I'd refund you $80, but you'd still have to ship it back to me. So then he says, I redid it with the new Gorilla Glue, and it seems to be holding. And then he says,
like, what is he doing to this that's like making it?
No,
like every aspect of the guitar is holding the nut in place.
I think you might feel bad once I read the rest of this. So hang on. It seems to be holding. Got to let it cure for a long time. And then he writes in parentheses, month.
What?
And hope it holds. Then he says,
cure for months.
What is he talking about? Like, he's not hanging his guitar by the nut. Like, the strings hold the nut in place.
It would cost me probably $20 to mail it back to you.
No one's getting
plus the hassle. Listen, plus the hassle of a post office trip. No fun when you have Parkinson's.
Oh, you're like, thanks, dude. Like that is.
Suppose I'll keep it and hope for the best.
Well, he probably shook the neck, and that's how the nut fell off. No. Like, how is he gonna blame you for that?
Huh? I wish you'd sent a picture of the finished product, and there's just like Gorilla Glue all over the place.
Wait, he said, I got one more. He said the picture is blurry, but you can't really trust that if he was holding the phone.
You're like, this picture isn't blurry at all. What's this guy talking about? Oh, okay. That makes sense. That's awful.
This episode is also brought to you by the Gabriel Tenorio String Company. If you want to hold your nuts in place, get some of those.
This guy's problem is probably that he's using hex core strings, and they just
say this. If that dude is cool at all, he would have loved that joke.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Like, if he didn't like that joke, then
that's his problem.
Exactly. It's not like you can't blame me. You can't blame us for the terrible things we say. No, but like legitimately
terribly hilarious.
Like, how do you? Maybe it's because you're like holding on to it. I know that. Like, I'm trying to picture somebody with Parkinson's playing guitar.
Well, a lot of times,
a lot of
laughing
at the image.
Like, only get the tremors when they're like not doing something.
Johnny,
like if they're still, then their body will move. But if they're like using that limb, then it's usually more controlled, unless it's like really severe.
Okay. Thanks for Parkinson's splaining.
Parkinsplaining.
Parkinsplaining.
I don't know. I think you're doing it right the first time.
Yeah,
it's
I think
mansplaining.
Like, the fact that you're like
not.
The fact that you're actually like holding on to something, like actively.
Yeah,
I don't know. We obviously don't know what we're talking about. We got a few
Clearly.
really good jokes at this guy's expense, and I feel good about that.
Yeah, me too. Even at this point, even if he wants to mail it back to me, I'm gonna be like, dude, totally because
if he mails it back to you, you have to get the neck back, make sure the rating is like closed and everything, and then you got to send him a recording of this conversation.
no.
Ask him what he thinks about it. But again, like, what is?
Tell him. Just make sure you hold it really still when you do it. He'll be fine. Okay, I've jumped the shark.
Did you already talk about how great it is vibrato must be?
You mean this tremolo?
I took my headphones off for yeah, natural tremolo. Oh,
The vibrato in his singing voice,
Yeah.
probably really good.
His legato.
Well, gentlemen,
Yeah, dude, it's been real.
That was offensive in a good way, though. For us, because none of us have Parkinson's disease.
mm-hmm.
So
I do love Marty McFly a whole lot, so I feel bad about it.
that one.
He's
All
my
those-
favorite.
I know describing memes is terrible, but all these things going around that. What do they
No,
say?
don't. That,
Oh, like the Kaepernick stuff?
yeah.
Yeah, like what is it? What's the line on it? You should believe in something, or
Believe in
Yeah,
something,
believe
even
it.
if it means sacrificing everything.
Yes.
yeah. So there's some pretty like the Ray Lewis one. I thought was pretty funny that says believe in something even if you have to sacrifice someone. But yeah, there's one with Michael J. Fox on it that's just like it just says believe in something, but it's just like this
It's like
complete
scribbled.
scribbled mess, you know. Oh, it's
It's not
terrible.
funny. Cole,
It
that's
is
not
funny. Like you can say that it's offensive and that we should not laugh at it, but it is funny.
Cole, the only reason the other one is funny is because that guy is not doing good things by trying to get me to return.
He's
To
not
accept
trying
the
to
neck.
get you.
He is trying to.
He literally said he doesn't want to return it.
What's weird is like, why would you bring up Parkinson's?
That's what's annoying is like
It's part of his
he's
life.
that's
I know,
what's
but it's
like,
like I don't tell everybody about parts of
If-
my life when I say, "Hey, could I return this?"
It's like
thing
people
that's
would say,
annoying-
like,
I
"Oh,
have
that's
crippling anxiety.
I got to go to the parking with the post office, which sucks when you got 4 kids in tow."
parking lot.
Parkins lot.
But here's the thing though, like it would be less annoying if he was trying to return it. If he was trying to say, this is a reason why I need to return it, and I'm going to tell you this personal detail about my life because I'm trying to get you to let me return it. Where as it is, he's just trying to make you feel guilty.
Or I
he's
have
just-
Parkinson's.
he's not
so
even
should
asking
let
you to
me
take it
return
back.
That doesn't make
'Cause
sense.
Because he already said no, that's what I'm saying. Like he
But it's
he
like,
doesn't
you
even
gotta
want to
give
return
me,
it.
like my money back because I got Parkinson's and I got to go down to the post office. Like you should cover shipping.
Oh, you think that's
No.
what-
I don't even think he's doing that. I think he just
That's what I'm
wants
saying.
you to
You're
feel
saying it
guilty.
was better if he was doing that.
Oh, totally. Yeah. If he was trying to use that as leverage to get you to return it,
Yeah.
then it's still like, I don't know. It's still kind of gross, but it's understandable. But like his entire motivation for doing it here is just to make you feel bad. Like you sent this guy a defective neck with a nut that falls off and doesn't even have a slot. You sent this poor old man with Parkinson's disease.
it comes flinging off
does
the
that-
neck.
How do
when
you
wiggle
feel
it?
about yourself? Yeah, exactly. When you shake it violently, it comes flying off. But Phil, I want to get back to an important part of this.
Oh no!
You're saying that only half your guitars have a slot for the nut to sit in?
I mean, that's a
That
smidge
can't
of
be
a-
true.
It's a smidge of an exaggeration.
Because every guitar I've ever seen in the entire universe has a slot for the nut to sit in.
No, I do. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8.
Rich Uncle Pennybags over here.
They're not Ronies, all right. They're all garbage except for the Martin. And I think it's 3 of those.
I need
have a-
photographic evidence of this.
Okay.
Because I cannot picture, like, it still has something to sit against, though, right? At the end of the fretboard?
The fretboard and the
But
neck.
it just doesn't have a slot on the other side of it.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Maybe. Well, still though, like every guitar I only have 4 guitars, so I can't relate to somebody in a situation like yourself that has 8 guitars, but
8 guitars, Phil?
crazy.
So stupid.
I know. Like my guitars are all so ridiculously boutique.
the resale value.
One of my guitars is worth more than all of your guitars.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I want to see some pictures of this because I'm trying to picture, and maybe it will make total sense when I see it. But the thought of having a neck that doesn't have any kind of slot for the nut to sit in seems crazy to me.
Okay, well, you'll see, and then you'll be
what kind of neck is it?
The one you sold is just a no-name like knockoff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of makes sense, but still, even like, I don't know. We just need some pictures, Phil.
Hey guys,
we gotta get some pics. So post them up, guys. Thanks for tuning in, people.
Thanks for friendship.
Thanks to our sponsors, Gabrielle, Sean, Andy. We're on a first name basis with our sponsors now. Gabrielle, Gunn, Cy.
Cy. Oh, the racist guy from
Uncle Cy. Yeah, Uncle Cy.
What's that show called? Bird something?
Bird. Yeah, from Bird.
Duck Dynasty.
He's one of our sponsors.
Bird, Hereditary Birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Guys, thanks for friendship.
Thanks for friendship.
Thanks for friendship.